You're listening to the Dynamic Thinking Project podcast. This is episode 6, and this is part 2 of episode 5. The title of this episode is Unhappiness, or Why People Are Not Happy. So let's get started. Hey everyone, Adam Muselli here. Welcome to the Dynamic Thinking Project podcast. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. All links are in the show notes and website, themindtechinstitute.com. It's all one word. And now, let's get started. Last episode, we discussed the key differences between happy and unhappy people. And also, we hovered over some key points of why people find themselves unhappy sometimes just for no reason. However, in this episode, we'll be discussing some of the major reasons that cause unhappiness to people. Let's start first with some questions to make you wonder. How do happy people become unhappy? And are they born like that? Is it genetic? And is there any way for unhappy people to become happy or to become happy again? Let's start first talking about the major reasons of why people become unhappy. The answer is based on two factors: internal and external. So let's focus on the internal, as we have talked about the external factor in the previous episode. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, I think it's a better idea to go listen to it and come back to listen to part 2, which is this episode. So just to make things clear first, it's normal that sometimes you may just lack joy. And simply that's because we don't live in a full, happy, and all positive world. More about that is also covered in the previous episode and also in episode 4. However, there are some things we do, and sadly, they became part of our lifestyle, whether consciously or unconsciously, led us to further unhappiness, and also these things, which became part of our lifestyle, lead to further unhappiness in people's lives, and also reflect and radiate that unhappiness onto others, and it becomes an unhappiness contagion. Yes, unhappiness and negativity can become contagious. Also more about that later. However, now I will tell you some major reasons or things that people do leading to unhappiness and sometimes leading to misery. Those things are based on statistics and also based on cases that we had at the Mindtech Institute when we do coaching and when we do counseling with people. And also they're based on other researches and other studies too. The first one is worriness. Now, worriedness, maybe you worry too much. And that reminds me of a quote by Mark Twain. He said, "I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them have never happened." Well, you see, worry creates inner problems. Of course, on the physical and the mental levels. Worrying doesn't create action. Worrying freezes you. So you're unable to think clearly and make changes to ensure the negative outcome never happens. Your energy would be better utilized in changing things that you can control, or better say, you can manage, and letting the rest go. Sometimes you worry about something too much and you're afraid maybe it's gonna happen. But as Mark Twain said, maybe it will never happen. So worriness doesn't do any favor. It just freezes you. It freezes you, and also it blocks your judgment. Another one is you maybe hold grudges, or maybe you're a little bit extra sensitive. Now, let me tell you something about holding grudges. Holding a grudge on someone has about the same logic as drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Well, excuse me for this awful analogy, an awful example, but if you think about it realistically and logically, it is the same. It's someone that you're holding a grudge on, and you think that will change something. But you're actually harming yourself by carrying all that negative energy. So let the bitterness go. And that's for your own benefit. The person who criticized you is probably having a great time without giving you a second thought, while you waste your whole life, or maybe some years of your life, sending them death rays with your mind. But that will never lead anywhere. Another one is, you believe everyone should play by your rules. Now, I'm sorry to burst your bubble with my realist outlook to life, but if you expect the world to be fair with you because you're a fair person and you're a good person to everyone and you like everyone to be like that, well, you're fooling yourself. That's like expecting a lion not to eat you because you didn't eat the lion. You see, the world doesn't live by your rule book. And the sooner you accept this, the happier you will be. No one else got your instruction book about the way things should be done, about how they should treat you, or how to live their lives by your standards and beliefs. People often get angry because someone violates their deeply held ideals, yet trying to do an impossible task, getting everyone to live by your idea of perfection, is bounded to create a lot of frustrations. So simply take people as they are and appreciate them with their own viewpoints instead of feeling irritated by them, for example, or frustrated by them. Maybe you can change yourself, but it's a very naive idea to think you can change the whole world. And I always tell our students, and I always say that in the seminars, try to change yourself and surroundings before you jump the big leap to try to change the world. Always try with yourself first. Another one is you compare yourself to others. Think of it this way. This one has two faces. Let me start first with if you are the offender. Now, saying someone is ugly or a loser or a failure or any label doesn't make you any better if you are the offender. Now, the second side of this, or the second face of this, if you are the person who compares himself or herself to others, this is also very important, especially for teenagers who goes into depression because they compare themselves to others. You see, most people play the internal comparison game. Usually, they scrutinize only one small area of that person's life and see where they match up. For example, I may compare myself to, let's say, Anthony Joshua, the current world boxing champion, and determine he is a better boxer than me. Well, we aren't even in the same stratosphere by far. However, this is only a small area of life. Who knows? Maybe I can swim or ride a horse or sing better than him. Looking at only a small fraction of a whole person, and ranking that part against yourself is a pointless activity. You are so much more than this one piece of your life that you have under the microscope at the moment. This habit will only create discontent in your life. If you simply can't stop measuring things, take an inward comparison. Dive instead. Are you a better person than you were yesterday? That's what you should ask yourself. Not comparing yourself to someone maybe unrelated, something totally different than your lifestyle or the way how you live or your standards and your values. Even if someone does exactly the same as you do, doesn't mean that person is better than you. Maybe he's better than you in one area of life, but not in everything. Another one, you chose to be happy only when all of your dreams come true. Well, what can I tell you? I've heard that many times. If I only get that $1 million, I will be the happiest person. Happiness is not determined by what's happening around you, but rather what's happening inside you. Most people depend on others to gain happiness, but the truth is, it always comes from within. Happiness always comes from within. You see, having big goals are great, but when you tie your happiness to future success, that may or may not happen. You never find joy in the life you live today. Find things that thrill you today and let tomorrow surprise you. Unless you have a life plan and a lifestyle that you're dedicated to become a multimillionaire, that's a different story. But don't tie your happiness to your future success, because our goals, they always change. Our priorities in life always change. Another reason you might not feel happy or causes you unhappiness is you haven't discovered your purpose. And by all means, I'm not saying it's an easy thing. I mean, we have courses and lots of seminars leading people to find their potentials and their purpose in life. But I can tell you this. Trying to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. Let me say that again. Trying to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. So many people have subscribed to this lie that their life purpose is to make it to the weekend. Yes. No wonder there are so many miserable routine workers in the world with a routine job they hate to do or hate to be at. So instead of just existing, find a way to start living. Find your passion and purpose and pursue them. Your normal and routine mundane life may turn inside out and in your favor. You see, discovering your part in this story is one of the best pieces in life's adventure. Not just for you, but for others too. Because in this life, we all complete each other, especially if all the pieces are placed in the right places. Another reason, you're stuck in your past. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. Let me say that again. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last chapter. Many people become the product of their past. They are the casualties of regret, as I like to call them. The casualties of regret, sorrow, and the what-ifs. You see, while we all can learn from our past, staying there is not practical to living in the present. The past cannot be changed or relived. To constantly dwell on it doesn't create any emotionally healthy outlook to your present and to your future. If you have studied hypnotherapy with us, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, especially when we deal with clients who they dwell in their pasts, and especially when we do regressions. Regression is when we take someone back in their past to fix a problem. And you will be surprised how many people they are stuck in their past. Let me give you a small analogy. Let's imagine the past is a bag full of stuff, and you keep dragging that bag with you over and over again all the way to your present and to your future. That bag is so heavy, and it's gonna make you slower in life. It's gonna make you tired, always tired. So in cases of regression, what we do, we go back to the past, we fix what we have to fix, and we disconnect it. We only keep the experiences. Why? Because it's unhealthy to carry all the past baggages, especially negative baggages, into your present and your future. It's gonna infect everywhere. It's gonna infect everything. Another reason, you're unhealthy. Healthy eating, stress reduction, and sleeping all impact how much happiness you feel. Emotions are linked to many physical properties in your body. The mind-body connection is very real. And often just adding exercise, extra sleep, or a healthier diet can improve your mood immediately. As a matter of fact, I have published an over 300 scientific book explaining in details about the connection of food to our health, psychology, and well-being. The book is called The Day We Gave Up Health, and you can find it on Amazon and on our website, themindtechinstitute.com, and also many other major bookstores and places. Another reason of unhappiness is you seek validation and others' approval. You see, you have to learn to love yourself first instead of loving the idea of other people loving you. If you keep looking for others to determine your own worth, you'll be disappointed. No person except you should have the power to determine your happiness or value. You should be the one who put the price tag on how much you're worth. And of course, I don't mean that in the literal sense, but think of it this way. Let's say, for example, if you're selling your car and a buyer comes to you and asks you how much you're selling it, how much you're selling your car. Now imagine if you tell the buyer, the person who's coming to buy your car, well, to be honest, I'm not sure. How much would you pay? Well, let me tell you, and I assure you, you'll be disappointed. Because if you don't put value on your car, don't expect that person to put the value that you're expecting your car to worth. So, if you don't put value on you, people will disappoint you with the value they give you. And it's not because you're not worthy or you don't worth much, of course not in the literal sense, but because people are bad judges. Another reason is you chase the wrong things, and I have seen this a lot. When you stop chasing the wrong things, you give the right things a chance to catch up. Sometimes when we get confused about what really is important for us, do a deep dive inside to discover what you value most. Then don't waste your life chasing the things that don't really matter to you. Another reason, you're afraid of yourself. As strange as it sounds, many people are afraid of being themselves and don't trust their own instincts. Learning to put faith in your own decisions and life course will create a much more satisfying journey than constantly doubting yourself. If this has rang the bell to you in any way, I highly recommend you take our NLP practitioner training course. And now it's totally available online and through our phone app. Another big reason for being unhappy is because you don't take risks. Yes. And as T.S. Eliot said, only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. Many people don't push their life to the limits. If you're feeling a bit unchallenged or unchanged, maybe it's time to revisit some risks and push yourself a bit farther. You may find yourself exploring uncharted territories while your friends kick back into the easy and familiar life. The excitement of getting over your previous limits create an enticing experience. Once again, this is also part of our NLP training. Another reason, you play the victim card, and I also see this in our work a lot. It's hard to be happy when the world is conspiring against you. People who take on the role of victim are never happy. This is because they don't have any control. They believe that their unhappiness has been caused by an external factor, and it can only be taken away by the external factor or by the same external factor. They live in the miserable land of if only. They always say, if only like this, I would be like this. Or if only like that, I would be like that. If you live the life as a victim, you also believe the lie that you have no power to change it. That's not a way to embrace meaningful existence. Instead, change your faulty belief systems and empower yourself to take responsibility for your actions and the corresponding reactions you encounter. Never give your power away to someone else. And I once again may sound like a broken record, but this is also part of the NLP training. It's just because our NLP training really reform someone's life and includes lots of knowledge and techniques to change a person's life. And lastly, and most importantly, is conformity. Conformity is when you keep up with the Joneses, when you do whatever others are doing, when you believe what others believe, not because they are right, but because everyone else is doing it or is believing. The biggest destroyer of societies is when they start conforming. They start to lose their identity and they become just like the rest of the herd. They follow on autopilot. If there is a new trend, everyone buys it. And if you don't, you'll start feeling as an outcast or have fell behind. And then you start to feel unhappy because you feel different. The conformity subject is a very long subject, and I'm going to do a whole episode about it. But for now, have your own opinion and your own life. Otherwise, you will not be you. And the world needs you because everyone else is taken. The world needs you. Now, happiness, regardless what might oppose it, it must come from within. Happiness is about learning and getting results, which can also bring you results, and do something about it. By sharing it, for example, with the world. Happiness, regardless how you measure it, it ends up connected or linked to peace at the other end. because happiness is peace. That's it for today, and thanks for listening. If you have any questions, you can email me. The email is on our website, themindtechinstitute.com. It's all one word. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, take care, and you have a good weekend.